Hello, good morning. How are you? I hope you're fine. Okay, today I'm going to tell you something to relate about The Merchant of Venice. The Merchant of Venice is one of Shakespeare's comedy. Why did I choose The Merchant of Venice? Because, well, probably it has one theme which is a very actual theme that is anti-Semitism, and it's still one of the issues in today's world. But racism, for instance, if we enlarge the concept of anti-Semitism to racism, has been a feature of our societies. And it depends from time to time, it becomes stronger, and then many fights start between people of different races, of different ethnic groups. So in this case, this is one of the comedies, one of the three comedies written by Shakespeare, and which was set in the Veneto. And the other ones were The Two Gentlemen of Verona and Otello. The Merchant of Venice gives us an idea of how important were moneylenders and were Jews in Venice at that time. Still today, there is an area of Venice which is called the Jewish Quarter, and that's where still today the Jews live, and there is a synagogue which is still functioning as a temple of cult for religion. Okay, and in this case, Venice is the setting for The Merchant of Venice, and The Merchant of Venice is referred to Antonio, who is the merchant who is rich, but he has invested all his money on ships, and he hasn't got cash. And a friend of him, Bassanio, asks him for money because he wants to court a lady, Portia, and he needs money to do so because, you have to bring flowers, everything, and you need minstrels to play music, and a window and things like that. So you of course need money, and Antonio hasn't got cash. So what he does is to ask for cash to Shylock, who is a Jewish money lender. But Antonio in the past had spitted because he despised on Shylock's face, because he despised him, because Antonio doesn't tolerate that if you lend money, then you pretend something more when your friend gives you back the money. Okay, let's try to remember the difference between borrowing and lending. Borrowing è prendere a prestito. Lending is dare in prestito. Okay, then he despises the Jews because they pretend a surplus on what they lend. But in reality, Jewish people are only allowed to be money lenders. They cannot do anything else. They are not really considered Venetians. And What happens is that being despised, Shylock pretends if Antonio doesn't give him back his money, he pretends a pound of his flesh. A pound of his flesh vuol dire quasi 454 grammi, che è il pound. Il pound voi sapete che ha due significati: può essere la valuta, the currency, the British currency, but it can be also il peso. In questo caso è about half a kilogram, a pound of his flesh. Flesh è la carne non è meat, è quando la si mangia. Flesh è la carne di una persona, carne viva, anche di un animale. But how can you pretend half a kilogram of flesh from a living man? So, you will see the plot, you will study the plot. I don't want to go on with the plot, but the only thing I tell you is that at the end, Shylock cannot take the pound of flesh he wanted in exchange for his money, because in fact Antonio wanted to give him back 3 times more the money he borrowed from Shylock. He borrowed 3,000 ducats and he wanted to give him back 9,000 ducats when his ships arrived in Venice, were full of merchandise, full of goods. But Shylock said, no way, I want your flesh, because you have been unkind to me and you spitted on my face. And that was an offense I didn't tolerate, so I want your flesh. But the judge, who is Portia disguised as a judge, says that he cannot have the flesh unless Antonio's flesh, unless he has it without dropping a single drop, without having a single drop of Antonio's blood out of his body, and that of course is impossible. So what happens is that the judge says that he must be put to death because he attempted to kill a Venetian, and the Doge tries to mediate, and he says, okay, you will not be put to death, but all your money will be confiscated. Half of the money will go to Antonio, half the money will go to the state. So nobody dies at the end. That's why it's a comedy and it's not a tragedy. But the moneylender loses all his money. And yes, that's roughly the story. Se volete vedere qualcosa sulla storia di Venezia, vi metto qua un piccolo estratto di un video che avevo realizzato. Se poi lo volete vedere integralmente, vi do pure il link. Così, giusto per avere un'idea sulla grandezza di Venezia e tutto quello che è passato attraverso Venezia, specialmente nel Medioevo, nel periodo dell'Umanesimo fino al Rinascimento, diciamo, in tutto questo periodo storico nel quale Venezia era veramente una grande potenza che commerciava con tutto il mondo, perché riforniva di beni il Nord Europa, la Germania che poi li distribuiva, perché aveva dei rapporti con Alessandria d'Egitto, con Costantinopoli, dove arrivavano carovane dall'estremo oriente con le merci, con le spezie, i tessuti, tutto quello che appunto veniva dall'Oriente. Ma poi purtroppo i portoghesi si presero questi commerci circumnavigando l'Africa. Dal 1500 in poi la potenza di Venezia cominciò a declinare. Per ringraziare il Dio di questo predominio sul mare, ogni anno nel giorno dell'ascensione il Doge di Venezia nel Bucintoro, l'imbarcazione di rappresentanza molto bella decorata in oro, buttava un anello nel mare che praticamente rappresentava appunto lo sposalizio con il mare. E infatti in veneziano il mare si chiama la mar, è femminile. I bizantini appunto avevano un rapporto preferenziale con i veneziani e questo portò a Venezia enormi fortune e l'inizio di una espansione che non si sarebbe arrestata fino all'avanzata dei turchi e alla presa di Costantinopoli nel 1453, quando poi i commerci cominciarono in qualche modo a declinare, anche perché i portoghesi avevano scoperto delle vie marittime che, circumnavigando l'Africa, andavano direttamente in India a prelevare le spezie che avevano reso Venezia così ricca e così potente nel corso del Medioevo.